You need to put those in a frame in the Louvre. That's how wonderful my colon is. How many polyps? I had as many polyps as McDavid has Stanley Cups. None.
This is the Greg Cote Show with Greg Cote.
Pardon it.
Here's your host, Greg Cote.
Okay, I have to talk about something very important that I've experienced recently. A lot of people dread it. I didn't exactly look forward to it, but left with a joyous feeling of not only accomplishment, but an enjoyable experience. I had a colonoscopy, and I left there ebullient, walking on air. Part of it was that the doctor referred to my test results as an A+. Okay. So for those of you who are concerned, either that, I'm a senile old man or that I have a bad colon, I want you to realize that I am in the fit of health for a man my age, an A+ colon, not a polyp to be found. I am polyp free. And not only that, I'm recommending to all of my middle-aged and older listeners. Christopher is shaking his head. Why?
Well, I'm just like, you're taking having a healthy colon as this, like, you've been approved that every lifestyle choice you have is the right thing. Like, you are making such a leap with like as if your doctors would approve of you never working out and never exercising and drinking a lot.
Okay. I'm just talking about my colon, colon.
No, but you're doing this thing where you're trying to take that as like, anyone who says I need to make any changes in my life, take this. And it's like, no.
You're jumping to conclusions. I never said that. I never implied that. What I want to say is that, and I'm being serious here, to all of you middle-aged or older, look into a colonoscopy. You're supposed to have one like every 5 years, and it really is important to have. So check it out. It's not that bad. And what I'm trying to tell you is, anesthesia is one of the great inventions in history.
Yeah.
Because this whole thing could be a scam for all I know, because I went in to have a colonoscopy 1 minute, and the next minute I'm waking up supposedly having had one. Right.
What do you think the odds are that they just did nothing to you?
I'm telling you, if I were to suspect anything of the medical profession, it would be that the whole idea of anesthesia is just a ruse to have people think that they had a procedure done when nothing at all was done.
It's just for
all I know, the doctor and the nurses are playing poker. What?
Right. It's just a good nap. It's just a nice little nap.
Yeah. Or they're playing poker, while I'm just sitting there with my ass exposed for an hour.
So you weren't sore. So you weren't sore leaving.
Not in the least.
Wow.
Yeah.
Greg's ass has a clean sheet.
I do. Holy sheet. No, it was great. They showed me the photos of my pristine colon. And I have to tell you, I don't know if any of you have ever seen a photo of your colon, but it looks like an amoeba that lives on the bottom of the ocean floor with a gaping mouth, like something that lives, it's not a pretty sight, but at any rate, you have to have it. Before we move on from my colonoscopy, I want to ask you guys a question, because I thought of this. The guy who performs a colonoscopy would rank high on a list. What kind of doctor would you least like to be?
I mean, an ass man would be up there.
It would be up there and down there.
No, I'd prefer that. I'd like to be an ass man.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that I'd like the responsibility of a heart surgeon or brain surgeon.
Yes, surgeon in general seems pretty terrible.
Surgeon General.
Yeah.
There you go. You know what seems terrible to me? A dentist, if I'm being frank. Just working inside somebody else's mouth.
Are you saying that because they famously they have like a high suicide rate?
Do they?
That is like that's like a known thing. Like if you just type in professions suicide rate, dentists are up there.
I had no idea.
Hope I'm right on that.
I had no idea.
It's definitely been a thing that's been said throughout my life. So like, as we can hear Yeti furiously typing to look it up.
Oh, he's doing his diligence. He's doing his research. Yeah. I like that. Before we move on, I might also nominate gynecologist, if I'm being perfectly honest, because This is an area of personal interest, but not professional interest. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I get it, Dad. I don't need to need to hear you talking about being personally interested in the vagina.
Well, okay. All right. I mean, not all are, quite frankly. But anyway, I want to move on from this because I've talked way too much about my colon.
I want to talk about you, like, totally, like, talking a big game about, like, this white hat guy, how I'll never have anything to do with him. And now we've invited him on the show.
Oh, yeah. Against my better wishes.
Pete Blackburn, by the way, of the What Chaos hockey podcast, by the way. Like, I feel like we're being very dismissive with just saying white hat.
Well, he's white hat guy to me. I don't need to know his name. He doesn't know my name. I mean, he called me a senile old man with never having met me. So obviously he doesn't know me. We
got to get you guys in the same room because I feel like instead this could be Greg versus Pete. I mean, Greg and Pete, but instead it's white hat versus senile old man. And and starting with colonoscopy does not help your case in terms of being a senile old man.
Okay,
like, did you do that? Did you do that ironically of like the episode where we're having the guy on that called you a senile old man starting with colonoscopy?
I wish I was smart enough to have done that intentionally.
Dad, before we move on, Dad, I want to talk about, we were at lunch earlier today.
Right.
And we had a disagreement over some bacon.
Oh my God.
And I know we put this video out on the internet, so some people might know what we're talking about. But basically, we ordered, because we're the Cotes and we're bacon men. Like, I just I don't even like, I've had my takes on bacon where, I don't really love them on a sandwich.
Right.
I like bacon on its own. I don't like bacon on things. Anyways, we ordered, nowadays at these restaurants, you have the billionaire's bacon, where it's basically just bacon, little maple syrup, little sugar, little crushed red pepper, whatever the ingredients are.
Yeah.
The doctored up bacon. So we ordered this at a restaurant, local watering hole, as I like to call them.
Right. Unnamed watering hole.
And it comes, me and you alone, 6 strips of bacon.
Right.
And so obviously when you're with 2 people, what is that? That's 3 each.
Sure. Good math.
And it was spicy. So I ate my first piece and it was just like, wow, that was spicier than I expected. Whatever.
Yeah. And you wimped out.
And then you wolf down your 3 pieces. So then there are 2 pieces sitting on the table.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? This was so spicy, Dad. You have one of my 2 that are sitting here. I'm definitely not going to have all 3. So you crush house down. You've now had 4 pieces of bacon.
Yeah, small pieces.
I've had 1 piece. And then as we just ordered, our lunch is going on, we're having a nice time. You start getting so anal about this last piece of bacon sitting there that I haven't decided. Maybe I'll eat it. Maybe I won't. It was spicy, but it's not really something I'm really thinking about. And you just wouldn't let it go. To the point where I was like, I think you've had enough bacon already. I don't even think it matters whether I eat it or not. I feel like 4 is enough for an appetizer bacon before your meal arrives. And it's just, and then I played ball with you and I took I was just like, you know what, just to shut you up, I'm going to take this last piece, my second piece, I'm going to take a bite of it, eat about half of it, put it back on the plate, just so you shut up about it.
Okay.
And then our food arrives and the lady is like, you guys want me to clear that? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And you're like, no, I want that piece. And you just made this big deal of this stupid piece of bacon.
Okay. For some reason, you took a video during this whole time when we're arguing about a half a piece of bacon. I want to play that video real quick before I summarize and rebut you.
Let's play it. Why are you upset?
Okay. Because there's a half a piece of billionaire bacon left, and you're entitled to eat it. You're not eating it, or indicating that you will, but you won't let me have it.
It's too spicy for me.
Tough. Then great, let me eat it.
There were 6 pieces to start.
Right. We had 3 each.
No, you had 4.
We were entitled to
1.5. Right, I already gave you one of my pieces.
You voluntarily, right?
Yeah, and now I had my one, and it was too spicy, and you wanted that second last piece, and I don't want you to have it because you've had enough bacon.
Says who?
Me. Your heart doctor.
It's not your place to say.
I'm your heart doctor.
No, you're not. I have a heart doctor. He's really good. He would say, go ahead and eat that.
You've had 3 you've already had 4 pieces of bacon.
I would eat a pound of bacon in one sitting. A pound.
It's too spicy. You don't need spicy bacon. You've had 4 pieces of spicy bacon. And you want an extra half just so it doesn't go to waste? Why can't that just go? Like, we've had plenty of bacon.
Because I love bacon, and that's good, and you're not eating it, so why can't I have it?
Fine, you can have it.
This is shades of... Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is shades of when you grabbed the last piece of lobster for me in a restaurant in Las Vegas.
Yeah, this is payback. You're welcome. I'm giving you my last piece of bacon. It's the exact opposite of the bacon.
Super good. Best ever. Best bacon ever. Thank you, pig. Okay, so here's my rebuttal. Okay, the rebuttal is you obviously didn't want that piece of that last bite of bacon, but you were refusing to just say, yeah, Dad, you have it.
Well,
that's what I got upset
Sorry
about.
that I don't want my dad to have 5 pieces of appetizer bacon at a lunch.
By the way,
Greg, you were just talking about trying to beat your granddaughter in a granddaughter versus grandfather Olympics.
Thank you.
If you're eating a pound of bacon a day, or if you're or like it's nobody's business, you're not going to beat her at anything. You won't make it to the Olympics.
Thank you,
Okay.
Yeti.
I don't care how clean your asshole is.
okay, first of all, I when I say I could eat a pound of bacon a day, obviously I could. Do I? Of course not. You know, that would be a dream come true, but I don't do that. And the fact that Christopher wouldn't give me a half a piece of bacon is just ridiculous. All of a sudden he's
for the record, I gave it to him because he guilted me in front of the waitress. I'm like, take the stupid bacon.
Sure.
All right, fine.
It is a little silly that you would want to withhold it from him, but
No, it's because he had 4.
So what? Yeti's on my side.
You had to step aside. Did you hear the full story?
No, Greg, I don't think you should be just, overloading yourself with bacon. But I mean, at the same time, you're a grown ass man.
Thank you.
And
But it was,
if you want to
remember,
ruin your life and my paycheck, okay.
There were 6 pieces of bacon. He had already had 4 of the 6. I ate 1. The last piece, which is definitely mine by any math you do.
Sure.
And then I was just like, just to shut him up, I'm going to take a bite of it. I ate half of it, and he still wouldn't shut up about the bacon.
Okay. All right. Fine. I will take a victory here only because everybody knows. Yeah, everybody knows. First of all, who among the two of us, between the two of us, among would be 3 or more, between the two of us, who ordered the appetizer billionaire's bacon, you or I?
Me.
Hello.
I know. First of all, I know that's what makes it more mine. I don't understand what's your point there.
Okay. People have already sided in droves with me. So
they have. No one's going to like Chris trying to withhold bacon from Greg.
Seriously, let alone a bite.
So nobody's going to say, you know what? A son that doesn't want their dad, that needs to control their dad the way I would my daughter. Like, that's what we turn this into. It's like, Graceland, you don't need 5 pieces of bacon. Okay.
Fine. Okay. All of a sudden, I'm your 7-year-old.
Maybe when we finally get Bacon Buddy on the show versus Uncle Dick, we can ask him.
That's a good idea.
Although he's in Bacon's pocket and Bacon is in his.
In an upcoming episode, we have Bacon versus Dick, and today we have Greg versus Dick.
Yeah, White Hat.
Yeah,
AKA.
There we go.
Yes, I didn't say it. Christopher did.
Now, apparently, White, and we can ask him about this. Apparently, he went hard after because on Tuesday on the Le Batard show, my dad and Billy came to my dad's defense, while his son, me,
Thank you,
was,
Billy.
cowering away because I'm terrified of Connor McDavid. So I'm Team White Hat until the Panthers have a lead in this series. But Billy went after Pete Blackburn. AKA White Hat, and then Pete went after Billy. I haven't heard the full clip, but I heard that there was some strong language being thrown around towards Billy Gill. So, Dad, are you going to come to Billy's defense the way he did you, even though you also haven't heard the clip?
Okay, if I hear the clip, I will probably come to Billy's defense. Who came to mine?
I heard that there was an S my D thrown around.
Yeah, well, White Hat does not lead the league in civility, if I can say that. I mean, I'm not besmirching his upbringing, but my parents raised me not to refer to a 70-year-old man you've never met as a senile old man. I will say that.
Right.
Okay. Now, again, that's not to besmirch his upbringing because I have not met his parents, who I would not refer to as senile.
And we're going to find out whether those tattoos are real.
Yeah, well, I saw one peeling off, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Yeti, you made a reference to the grandfather-granddaughter Olympics, which I subtitled 7 versus 70. And I invite our listeners, our beautiful listeners and viewers on our YouTube channel, to contact us and suggest legitimate categories, either athletic categories or non-athletic categories, where you think it would honestly be an interesting competition between a 70-year-old like myself and a 7-year-old granddaughter. How do they best reach us with ideas?
They can go on social media, Instagram, TikTok.
They can message us through the GregCoteShow.com.
There you go.
Leave comments anywhere we're on social media. Tell us if you didn't if you remember, and some of you have been good listeners for us. Last year, a couple years ago, whenever the hell we did it, me and my dad did a ton of ridiculous competitions. If you thought at that point it can't get any weirder, we're getting weirder. We're gonna have my dad and my daughter sprinting down a street.
Yeah, maybe we should do it on grass in case Graceland falls.
Dad, I love how you're worried about Graceland and all of this. Like, I couldn't be less worried about Graceland. Okay, I'm worried about you getting your heart rate up for the first time since 1982.
Okay, it says Mr. Gym Rat. Okay, I mean, okay.
Dad, fair. I do not go to the gym a lot, but I get my heart rate up multiple times a week. Baby. No, but I'm serious. But
never mind. Yeah, Gym Rat Chris. Never mind. Oh shit, I'm cut that out. I'm not.
Yeah, well, no, we're leaving that in, Yeti. That's right. You don't get to. No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
you can do it
now that the bad attention's on me, we can blame Alex Benson for the Panthers losing Game 1. I'm starting to get ready for bed because I never have time to watch anything. I'm trying to get because I have to get up so early, and I get a phone call from Alex, and I was like, "What's up, man?" And he's like, "Oh no, just getting ready for bed," and I was like. It's in between the second and third period. The Panthers are in the lead 3-2. And he was like, or I said, you aren't watching the game? He says, what game? And this is after, for like 2 days straight, he kept posting like Game 1 Florida Panthers posters on Instagram. Like he was super hyped for the game. He forgot it was even happening. He was about to get ready for bed. And then he told me, all right, I'm going to go third period starting. I'm going to watch this. And then, you know what happened. So
now I talked to Alex, and this is really inside. I don't know if people care about this, but I talked to Alex because when you said this, I was like, wait, so Alex forgot about Game 1 until the third period. So I called him and called him out on this. And we might have to have a trial, Dad, where maybe we get Judge Zaslow here because
really
Alex claims that I don't know whether he claimed that you guys ended up on the phone, whether he called you or you called him, and that
he called me, I called him back.
That he ended up in a spot where he was trying to end the conversation. And so his way of being like, I'm just going to bed. And you're like, isn't there a game on? And he's just like, oh, what game? Like
he led the conversation. I'm like, hey, what's up? What's going on? We haven't taught since January. We haven't been able to touch base. We've tried. But he led the conversation with, just getting ready for bed.
I do like this idea of like Alex now trying to cover up the fact that he was a bad Panthers fan, a lapse in, just his memory. Like it's nothing against, like he loves the Panthers, but he may have just, forgot.
Wow.
But that I would say, as like, if we're just talking like to make this relatable to the, like, if your team that you care about is in a championship round, completely just blanking and forgetting about one of their games is a major fan faux pas.
It was that, but it was also after like for 2 or 3 days straight, he's hyping it up on Instagram.
Oh, I know. I'm in group text with him. Like he's into it. Like he's sending clips all the time. Like the idea of then after all that buildup, just forgetting about Game 1.
And now he has been exposed as a fraud fan.
But I don't know. But Yeti can be a yap on the phone.
No, I can. He kept asking me about my bathroom habits because I was pooping when he called. That's why I missed the call.
There is a scenario where you just need to get off the phone with Yeti. So if you got to tell him you forgot about the game, you got to just tell him.
Okay, so he lied. Yeah, okay.
I would agree with that if he didn't lead the conversation. He called me. I called him back. What's up? Oh, just about getting ready for bed. And I was like,
I will say, having spoken to you and hearing his tone about it and hearing your confidence, I'm doubting Alex a little bit here.
Between the two of us, Who is more likely to, fudge things over a little bit?
I think there's no reason for you to make this up, and there would be reason for Alex not to want me to know that.
Mm-hmm.
A verdict has been read.
No, there's no verdict. Like, I think we might need to have Alex on in the coming weeks and really hash this out.
Next week we'll have him on because this is a controversy, particularly if Alex is moving forward with the idea that he's one of the area's biggest Panthers fans and not a fake fan who would forget that Game 1 was going on, as has been alleged here. Before we go to break, I want to say a couple of quick words about the Trump versus Musk thing. Which
Yay!
Yeah, I know. You're afraid of talking any politics. I get that. There's a lot of people in this country who love Trump. There's a lot of people who don't, who think that Trump versus Musk is delightful, is just delightful. And I sort of am one of those people. But I want to make 2 points. Number one, Musk drops this supposed bombshell that Trump is listed in the Epstein report. Well, guess what? I think it's knowledgeable that he is in the Epstein report, but not in an incriminating way.
What do you mean knowledgeable?
To a source of mine.
Do you mean like a known thing? You just said it's knowledgeable. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it is like he's on the flight logs. It's that we have several reports of him on flight logs. Him and several pictures of them and Epstein partying. They're known to be friends and things like that.
What you meant is it's a known thing. You're like,
I think that's true.
Yes, I'm just saying. My dad delivered it with I think Trump being on there is knowledgeable.
Yeah,
that's what my dad said.
You're right.
Thank you. It's like all I'm saying. That's all I'm calling him out.
It's a known thing. But according to my source, and I do actually have a source who's really into this whole Epstein thing, Trump is not involved in a way that is incriminating, according to my source.
So for Elon to be right, he would have had to have seen more than what your source, who's done extensive research on this because he wrote a book about it, right?
That's exactly right. The other thing I want to bring up about Trump versus Musk is that Elon Musk has zero chance of surviving this thing in terms of is his future in this country. I mean, here's what's going to happen. Okay, this is just my prediction, and I'm not saying I'm going to be right. Trump is going to be torched because Musk is going to be torched by our most vindictive president in United States history. Okay, Trump is not going to stand for what Musk is doing. Okay, he's going to go after Tesla. He's going to deport Musk back to South Africa. I mean, Musk is going to leave this country in flames. Okay, and I could be wrong, but that's my strong feeling about all this. I don't know whether you guys want to weigh in or not.
I'm just shocked that a relationship with Trump and somebody fell off the rails.
Right. I mean, what did you think was going to happen?
Okay. That's on that comedic note, which you're right, because I got way too serious. Let's go to break.
I don't know what of this we're leaving in, but the idea that my dad thinks that there's anybody out there that thinks that there's an order among, like, nobody knows what order, like, it's
Dad
a thing.
Jacks. 3 facts, Jack.
Dad Jacks.
Dad Jacks.
Dad Jacks.
Going hitchhiking again, Greg?
Like, what is good? Like, knowledge? Dad Jacks? Like, what?
All right, what are we coming out of? Let's
3 facts, Dad.
Go. Let's go. What do we...
Do the freaking 3 facts, Jack.
There are 3 things that interest him, so sit right back for 3 facts, Jack.
Okay, I don't have to intro it?
The intro already happened.
Okay, 3 facts, Jack.
We already did that.
Number 3, I'm totally discombobulated. I'm derailed. I'm in the ditch. Number 3, morphine, the opiate drug, is named after Morpheus, the Greek god of dreams.
What happened, Greg?
Oh, I just got an urgent message from Clark Spencer, my horse racing buddy. What are you calling me for?
I thought it would ring.
For the love of God.
What did Clark say?
I was derailed because I got a phantom call from Christopher. Ridiculous.
What did Clark say?
Is everything okay with Isla?
Yo, Yeti, today at lunch, my dad, I'm like, Dad, send me this contact. And he sends me a screenshot of the contact. So I had to teach my dad how to share a contact.
Okay, whatever.
That's good. I like that.
Okay. This is from Clark Spencer, my horse buddy.
This is going to be the most boring. This is going to be the most boring text ever. Go ahead.
Per IB, which is
irritable bowel syndrome.
Insider Bulletin. Per Insider Bulletin, plan is for Isla Grande to go to Mott at Payson Park in Indiantown in October. We could go visit her, and so we shall. And Mott is the trainer.
There was.
And Indiantown is upstate Florida.
The urgent.
The big text was, "Hey, we can maybe see the horse in October."
Yeah, we are. We're gonna take a road trip, he and I, and we're gonna pet our horse on the nose.
I want
jacking
you,
dads, and you're petting.
I want you to ride the horse.
No, yeah, like they're gonna let me, a fractional owner, ride the racehorse.
You'd be the largest thing to ever ride that.
I would be the heaviest. I outweigh a jockey by 90, the average jockey by 90 pounds.
It ain't heavy. It's my owner.
There you go. The horse would be sagging. The horse's career would end if I got on his back, Jack. Okay.
Finally, he said Jack.
Okay, 3 facts, Jack. All right, number 3 was the origin of morphine. Number 2, the world record for most words in a hit single is by Eminem in Rap God from 2014. The song contains 1,560 words said in 6 minutes, 4 seconds, or 4.28 words per second.
I like that.
Yeah, look, doing rap parodies is the hardest because there's so many more words than just a simple, rock and roll tune. Those have been the hardest ones to do.
Right. I learned that on the Le Batard show years ago when they had me do some of California Love.
Yeah.
And when it sped up, I was like, I can't do this.
I just found, because it made me think, I do this a lot with topics. Yeah. You found the song with the most words. So I'm like, what's the number one song with the least amount of words? And it's an obvious one. A very famous song that really only has a couple actual lyrics.
Well, you're not counting instrumentals, right?
I don't know what that means.
No,
this song does have.
Is it the Hey song?
No, what song?
Dun 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 na 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 na. Dun dun dun.
Hey! No, that's a good one. That's a good one.
All right, what's the answer?
Tequila. Dun, dun.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh wow,
Tequila. Because isn't that song it's just a bunch of music and every 2 minutes it's tequila.
I saw a recent video of someone doing that at karaoke. I'm like, that guy's a king.
Yes.
Wow, that's from my youth. That song, I remember.
57. That song was.
Yeah, I was 3 years old. That's pre-Ute for me. Number 1. After Steve Carell left The Office, the actor who was offered the job but turned it down was James Gandolfini of The Sopranos.
I think I knew that.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yep.
Yeah.
I listen to The Office Ladies pod. They cover all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. That kind of thing.
How many pods do you regularly listen to?
Oh, we should look this up on an episode. It's way too many. How many am I subscribed to right now?
But how many would you say you listen to weekly?
Way too damn many. I'm subscribed to 48, 49.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
And but some of those aren't releasing weekly episodes. But yeah, I don't know.
That's why I kind of asked what you listen to weekly. Okay.
Yeah.
Get back in a couple of weeks. Get back to me with your answer.
It'll take me that long to count.
Good question. Good question, Christopher.
Yeah. I feel good about this. Let's get to White Hat.
Okay.
Pete Blackburn, hockey expert.
From What Chaos?
Ooh.
Group chat member.
Yeah, right. Group rat member is more like it.
Well, he's not a Panthers fan.
That's a good point.
That's what we should call all of us in the Panthers group chat, honestly.
Jim Rat Chris.
Group rat. I like that. Patent pending. You're welcome.
Drink water.
Drink water.
What's up?
Hello,
hey,
gentlemen. How are we?
Great. How are we? The royal we. I like that.
Now, I want to say we're starting rolling right now. Pete Blackburn just joined us, and now while you guys have had your differences, you just got a punctual from Greg Cote, Pete Blackburn.
Punctual Pete. No, that's right. Good. Points for punctuality for Pete. Pete Blackburn. Solid name, by the way.
Wow.
I judge people by their names, which they had no control over. But Pete Blackburn, I'm going to give you credit for a solid name. You'll always be White Hat to me.
I brought it just for you. I was like, I almost didn't come with a hat, but I was like, I'm known as White Hat. I will forever wear a white hat in your presence.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It looked like you almost made the bed for us in the background there. Not quite, though. I see some.
It's a couch.
It's a couch. Okay.
Close, Greg.
Listen, I welcome you to the podcast. I know we've had our differences in the past few days. We've both said things we regret, particularly yourself. But before we get to that, I got to say, we're recording this Saturday morning. I stayed up till I got to bed at like 2 a.m. last night. I stayed up for the entire game, obviously.
Oh, wow, Dad. Are you bragging about that? Like,
I'm
Greg
bragging
Cote.
about that.
I stayed up for that entire game.
Yeah, and obviously the game was won by the Marchand miracle. And it's a 1-1 series, destined to be perhaps one of the greatest Stanley Cup Final series in history. And the one thing I want to say right now is that Connor McDavid, that one play where he slalomed through the Panthers defense and fed like a baby. He fed Draisaitl for a fairly easy goal. And McDavid was brilliant on that because the two players he slalomed through, the two players he turned into turnstiles, were the Selke winner, Alexander Barkov, and the veteran defender, Aaron Ekblad. He just stood them up while he brilliantly went through there. So, there's probably not a bigger admirer of Barkov in the entire world.
Is this an apology?
Well, first of all, staying up for the entire game. Wow. Credit to you, beating the senile old man allegations. It's very difficult for an old man to stay.
Post-colonoscopy as well.
Congratulations on a successful colonoscopy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then, Alexander Barkov, I love Alexander Barkov. But look at his plus minus in the series. What is it right now? Yeah. It's a -4.
That's wild.
It's because he's got Connor McDavid all over him.
Yeah.
So tough to call it overrated when the best defensive player in the league is having a real hell of a time through 2 games.
No, that's fair comment. And McDavid obviously never renowned for his defense, so he's risen to the occasion.
That's not true,
here.
Dad. You say that, but he's fine defensively.
But
penalties now.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I'm thinking of when I'm watching McDavid, who is brilliant.
Thank you.
There's no question about it, and he showed it again last night. Nobody assists better than he does. Would like him to score a goal every once in a while, but nevertheless, I think McDavid is great. And when I watch him make that play he made to feed Draisaitl for a big goal, they're all big goals. I'm thinking to myself, how on earth has this guy never won a Stanley Cup? Honestly, I'm not saying that to be facetious. I'm not saying it to rub anybody's nose. But honestly, because it's not only McDavid, but Draisaitl is the second best player in this series, according to some, although I would think it's Barkov. But how has he not won a Stanley Cup into his 10th season? I just don't understand it.
I think it's a fair question. I think Connor McDavid would ask the same question. I think that he's shown that he's got a singular goal and he's obsessed with it. And he's upset that he hasn't gotten one to this point. And I think we should all be upset that he hasn't gotten one to this point because it's not his fault. It's the people who build the teams around him. And to their credit, this Oilers team is the best team that he has ever played on. And, I think that this is their best shot to do it. And last year was their previous best shot to do it. And they came very, very close. But that's credit to the Panthers. The Panthers are a great team last year. And that was the reason the Oilers didn't win.
Yep.
Pete, put this series in perspective for me because I'm too emotional with it. I am just as somebody who's not really a fan of either of these teams, just tell me how great this series is going to be and has been so far.
I mean, it's been unbelievable. And I did a CBS hit last night and they asked me basically the same question. And I was said, for anybody who came into the series with any sort of fatigue or annoyance that we have a rematch, shut the hell up. If regardless of who you root for, if you've watched the playoffs so far, very, very clear that these are the 2 absolute best teams in the entire NHL. And through 2 games in this series, I don't think you could want anything more. You've gotten an entire extra game because both games have gone to overtime. And the way that you've gotten there has been so entertaining and so incredible. So There's just like, you got so much talent on either side. You got so much personality on either side. These teams hate each other. It's been great entertainment. I don't know what else you could ask for at this point.
I said after the first game that this was going to be a 21 period series, and people are pointing out to me that if it goes 6, it will be a 21 period series because we've had 3 extra so far. Go ahead, Dad.
Listen, people, see, we can disagree on certain things and then all come together as one family in agreement, because one of the things I wrote in my column off last night's game is that I noted that in game 1, the national TV ratings were down like 20% or something compared to the previous year. And I'm like, what do you people want out of a Stanley Cup final? Because you look at what you have in this final, in addition to the things that Pete mentioned, you have the Panthers going for a repeat championship. You have McDavid going for his elusive first ever cup. You have Edmonton trying to lift all of Canada with their first cup since 1990 and the country's first since 1993, which, by the way, for the country that invented hockey to have not won a Stanley Cup in that long a time is, I don't want to call it an embarrassment, but how would you refer to it, Pete? It's just a crazy run of not winning a cup for the country that invented the sport.
It's stunning, and I love it. I want it to continue forever. Like if there is a team that I've ever rooted for from Canada to win a cup, it would probably be this Oilers team, just because they're electric. It's the best show on TV, just entertainment night in, night out. But I would love for it to go on forever. And honestly, as a Boston guy, I should hate the Panthers. I should hate the Panthers. There's so much reason for me to. They've knocked them out 2 years in a row. Heading into this year, they stole our captain on a deal that I hated at the time. I kind of hated even more. Like Sarah Siv said it best. We deserve an extra first round pick now based off of what Brad Marchand has done for you guys in these playoffs. But like, that's just, as a hockey fan first, I can't not appreciate what the Panthers are doing, because not only are they extremely talented, but the nastiness and like the prison yard mentality that this team plays with, they're just built for the playoffs. Yes. So both times that they knocked the Bruins out, there was no real like animosity held towards Florida, because they deserve to win those series, especially the series where they came back in the 3-1 hole. Like you just kind of have to tip your cap. And like, to your point about people complaining about the matchup, the people who complain about the market thing drive me crazy, whether it's Carolina, whether it's Florida, whether it's Tampa. It drives me crazy, because at the end of the day, like I'm there to watch hockey. I'm there to watch the best hockey teams possible. I want to watch the best product possible. And over the past 3 years, there has been a team that has consistently delivered the best and like wildest product in terms of just playoff hockey, and it's been Florida.
I just can't still get over the fact that Greg, while being accused of being a senile old man earlier this week, started this episode talking about a colonoscopy. Like, I still can't get over that.
I'm not pandering to anybody. You know, I'm talking about what goes on in my life. You know, I have the photos of my colon.
Okay, we don't need to get into it.
If people were really out for blood, he'd be eating pudding right now.
You need to put those in a frame in the Louvre. That's how wonderful my colon is. How many polyps? I had as many polyps as McDavid has Stanley Cups. None. Okay? That's what I want to say. Okay, and I don't mean to rub that in, White Hat.
So here's my experience when you guys were talking about the segment that we had on our podcast on the Lebitard show the following day. I was watching, was hearing you defend yourself, and I was like, okay, this honestly is the first time that I'd seen or heard you. I was like, it doesn't seem like a senile old man the way that he did in the column 2 years in a row. Yeah. And I was like, maybe I was wrong. And then Dan speaks up, holds up your pudding or your Jello, and I was like, maybe I was right here. I think ultimately I'm coming back to my point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Dan has not been my greatest ally when it comes to portraying me as someone to be totally respected in the journalism field. So, you know, that's on Lebitard.
Dad, was it the same column 2 years in a row?
No, well, okay.
Like, did you just copy and paste? Like, what
neither
happened?
one was that's the amazing thing. Neither one was a full column. Okay. Both of them were like a 4 or 5 paragraph reference to McDavid, and then I moved on. I essentially reiterated what I'd written the year before and mentioned that it's even more relevant now because he's one more year without winning a Stanley Cup.
Look, if McDavid had won, he wouldn't have been able to repeat the column. So I mean,
You're playing the hits. You're playing the hits.
Well, listen, when if Edmonton wins this final, which I think they had all but wrapped up until they lost last night, I will write some sort of a mea culpa column giving McDavid full credit because, like I say, when you see his highlight film, you put 10 minutes of McDavid's highlight film together, it's like nobody else's. I mean,
but I think that's the point we were making before. Like, I know you're just discovering this, watching him, but like that's the point we were kind of making before the series.
No, I've known for years about his reputation. Okay, now, as Pete may not know, I'm not a hockey writer per se. I'm a general columnist on here, which means I cover all of our teams. Am I watching an Edmonton Oilers game in December? Hell no. But when the playoffs come around, yes, I tune in very much so. Nobody had to tell me how great McDavid was, and we've seen it again. But I'll reiterate what I said, that you need a championship before you enter that GOAT conversation. So the idea that he's McJesus and the best ever without a cup, to me is sort of not only wrong but a little bit ridiculous. And I won't waver off that. But I want to get back to one thing Pete said. You mentioned that Edmonton is an offensive juggernaut, largely because of their big two, and I agree with that. But I would argue, and I'm curious about your opinion on this, I think the Panthers are an offensive juggernaut because they have 5-6 guys who could score a big goal, and you wouldn't be surprised that it was him. And Marchand obviously is an addition to that category. I don't have the stats in front of me, I believe Florida was a higher scoring team than Edmonton this season, through the regular season and the postseason. I could be wrong.
That seems hard to believe.
I think the Panthers are a more powerful offensive team overall, even without the best two players.
That's not true.
Look it up.
I believe that they're behind. They were behind the Oilers in the regular season, but it's close. Like this year's Edmonton team is not the team that fits into the mold in previous years where they were all offense all the time and they couldn't defend for their lives. Like the reason that they got to the cup both this year and like starting with the postseason last year, and I guess since the coaching change last year, was they learned how to defend as a team, and that's how they got to the cup. And you just can't get to a Stanley Cup final if you don't know how to defend as a team. And like this year in particular, I don't know how much you watched through like the first 3 rounds, but they kind of pull the Panthers where you watch an Oilers game and they choke out some of the best offensive teams in the league. And they did it to LA after the first 2 games. They did it to Vegas to a stunning degree. Then they did it to Dallas to a stunning degree. Dallas was the 3rd best team in terms of offense in the regular season. And they scored, I believe, 3 5-on-5 goals over the final 4 games of that series in the Western Conference Final. So the Oilers absolutely locked them down. Can they score in bunches? Absolutely. But they kind of like the Panthers and the Oilers now fit into similar molds where, they have high-end upper echelon talent at the top. They have depth scoring that they can rely on. Like heading into the Stanley Cup Final, I believe the Panthers had 13 guys who had 3 goals or more throughout the playoffs. And the next team behind them was the Edmonton Oilers. They had 12 guys with 3 goals or more. So they're getting goals all throughout the lineup. Big part of the reason why they're not a 2-man team, why they didn't, have to rely on McDavid and Draisaitl to get there. But also, these are 2 teams that can get big goals from a number of different players. So, like, I would push back against like a big separation only this year, because the reason why the Oilers are the best team that they've been in the McDavid era is because they've kind of closed the gap and looked at what Florida's done and said, we kind of need to do that as well.
No, I don't disagree with that. And Bouchard, by the way, shoots the puck with such force and such speed, it should be illegal, him hitting the puck that fast. I want to say, because it's a dangerous weapon when he takes a shot on goal. But to your point, Pete, Edmonton has 20 different players who've scored a goal this postseason. Florida has 19, so they both have 4-line depth. And I agree with what Paul Maurice says. When he says that both teams are better than a year ago, he noted that Edmonton is much better on the defensive end and he thinks Florida is better on the offensive end. And part of that is Marchand, your favorite player, who an example of that broke Edmonton's heart just hours ago. So.
Yeah, I mean, Marchand's been unbelievable, arguably like their best player throughout the series, and I think he unlocked something in that third line. The third line has been their best line throughout these playoffs. So
it has.
I've been taunted by Florida fans that like, hey, we stole your boy and now he's our best player. I get it, but also like there's an element of me. I would rather see. What'd you say?
You have pride.
I have pride. Like that's my guy. And I like players. Like I really do. Like I root for one logo, and then I root for good teams and great players. And so I'm happy to see Marchand succeed. I'd rather see him do this on the biggest stage than be at home and not get to watch him. So like that's been fun for me. When you talk about both teams being better, yeah, like Marchand's part of that. Seth Jones is part of that. But I really do think, when we headed into this cup final, a thing that a lot of people were overlooking that they should not have been overlooking is that Leon Draisaitl was an absolute shell of himself last year, was so banged up, had no goals in the Stanley Cup final through 7 games, had 3 assists. He's been a monster this entire season. He's fully healthy. And I think that makes up for any addition that overrides any addition that's been made on Florida's side. I just think that's a massive X factor that a lot of people were overlooking.
I think on almost the opposite end, we have not seen the same Matthew Tkachuk that we saw last year. You could argue Matthew Tkachuk was their most instrumental player in winning their first cup a year ago. This year, he gets hurt in the Four Nations. He hasn't been the same. I know, in every interview he says, I'm fine. He's not fine. He's not the same Tkachuk. And so they needed somebody to step up, somebody new to step up. And it's been Marchand. And I honestly wonder, had they not swung that deal for Marchand, would they be here right now? And I have my doubts about that.
I think that's a fair thing to say. And another injury that I'm concerned about at this point for Florida is Sam Reinhart. Like Sam Reinhart on that breakaway last night is not the Sam Reinhart that we've come to know. If he's healthy, I think maybe he puts it away right there.
Right. Yeah, that was a glaring breakaway. And McDavid doesn't miss that, and Marchand doesn't miss that, or at least didn't twice last night. But
look
you're
how
right about Reinhart.
This has been a friendly interview. I'm happy with this. This feels good. I mean,
are we able to sell a friendly interview?
No, we'll sell it. We'll sell it as like Pete White Hat versus senile old man.
Okay, I feel like White Hat has not quite apologized to me. Not quite given me the apologize.
This is the opposite, Dad. Dad, this is the opposite.
Here's the real Greg Cote experience.
Yeah, this is the opposite. You've been the one like saying like, "Oh, McDavid's good." Like you're the one that is kowtowing here.
No, I'm not kowtowing because the bottom line on McDavid continues to be until he wins a cup.
I don't want to talk about this again, please.
Well, you're the one who just brought it up.
Maybe we'll get Billy Gillen here. Maybe that'll get the juices.
See, Billy is on my side. He knows me.
And so is Pete's producer Sean. Well, he's on Billy's side.
Yes.
Nothing you have said or written has made me as mad as my own producer turning on me on my own show.
Yeah,
taking William's side after he called me Peter 4,000 times and asked, "Who the hell is this guy? Why should we care about him?" I hate that guy.
Billy's what chaos?
My one stipulation for agreeing to come on this program, which I thank you very much for inviting me, by the way, was that William does not show his goddamn face on this show.
Yeah. Well, here on my show, we have the class to invite on adversaries like your show. What Chaos might have had me on last week, but instead you cowered a little bit. You were a little bit cowardly. Not you personally, although you were to blame.
Oh, it was
you
me
were a little bit cowardly for not having me on last week.
Yeah.
And so we don't play that. We're open. We have on our enemies. We have on our adversaries. So you're welcome. I almost said you're always welcome on this show. You're not, but today you were welcome on this show.
Okay, it was me personally who absolutely shut that down, the idea of having you on the show. But again, like when I listened and watched the Le Batard show, that was my first exposure to you, like speaking. And honestly, not just words on a page, you come off way better. The column made me think that you were an insane old man.
Yeah,
sure.
And so
He
after watching the Le Batard show the following day, I was like, you know what? I think we might be able to have this guy on the show and have a discussion about it. When I just read the words, I was like, no chance are we bringing this guy on the show.
Yeah.
To
By
be
the
fair,
way,
Greg has been speaking longer than he's been writing, which seems impossible. But
you know what? I've spoken almost every day of my life. Now, the first year or two, you couldn't understand anything I was saying. But since then, I've been speaking rather legibly. I admit to insanity, by the way. What I don't admit to is senility. And I'm wondering, Pete, in all honesty, how often is it that you refer to older people you haven't met as senile?
Not that often, which is a credit to the insanity of your column. So that should be, if you pride yourself on insanity, which I absolutely respect, like as a person who has a show called What Chaos, I do love insanity and chaos. Is why I'm a hockey fan.
Yeah.
So, and that's why my co-host DJ was like, I love that columnists like this exist, and especially where it seems to be kind of a dying art, where at least in written form, in written form. So I can understand that part of it. I do. I will apologize. I will offer an apology for calling you senile. You are clearly not a senile person.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I want to say one thing. This is not, I don't want to get too inside journalism, but I like to write once in a while what I call a conversation piece column, a column that I know is going to get people talking.
Oh, stop it. You were trolling. Come on. You know exactly what you're doing with that column. Come on.
Okay. Listen, a generation ago, before Pete was born, I wrote a Trade Marino column, which down here in the Miami market was incendiary.
Infamous.
And a McOverrated column is similar in a hockey vein. And I'm not going to church when I watch a sporting event. I don't consider athletes above criticism, above doubt. And when I'm talking about Trade Marino, it's the same column as McOverrated 30 years later. It really is. And
so I really I did not wholly disagree with the spirit of your column. It was the tag of Mick overrated that I had the most problem with, and the suggestion that Connor McDavid is overrated because he has not won a Stanley Cup at the age of, I believe, 29 years old. If you want to say that Connor McDavid is at risk of a legacy of failure, which will tarnish the legacy of one of the best players to ever play the game, that is way more fair, and it's not as incendiary, so I understand why it may not be the play for you. I get it. But describing and besmirching the experience of watching probably the most talented and most electric player that has ever played the sport. That's it lit a fire under my ass.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. The thing about the McOverrated nickname, it's perfect for a headline because it's short, it's succinct, it says it all. But the point I made on the Le Batard show,
he had a bunch ready for Draisaitl, but he's been good in this series, so can't really say anything.
Can you at least give me like a taste of one of those so I can get real mad?
I think if he didn't score a goal, he was going to call him Dry Spell. Right,
Okay.
I think it was
Cry title.
If he complained,
Leon no title, or Cry-cital, Leon no title.
Yeah, that would have been good.
He's got those in the holster. Yeah,
so,
exactly.
We could still bring those out. But
we got to get Pete out of here. Check out the What Chaos podcast. Pete, by the way, before the series, who did you predict in this series, and have you changed?
I picked Edmonton just because the Draisaitl factor and how close it was last year. I feel like that can be the difference, and just there's like a feeling of inevitability with the Oilers this year. I've not changed. It's 2 games split. It's been a great series. I'm still going to lean Edmonton here.
Right. Wasn't that feeling of inevitability there a year ago?
No,
like this.
I don't think so. The Draisaitl injury, the fact that they had gotten there the way that they did and going up against a more experienced team. One of the things I always say is you usually have to lose first in this league to win. And it happened to Florida the year prior, running into Vegas. I think that gave them a ton of valuable experience that made them ready for the moment last year. And I think you can say the same about Edmonton last year to this year.
Dad, we're not going to make Pete sit through like dad jokes, right? Like we can let him go.
We should.
I got nothing to do. So
all right,
this is his punishment for calling me a senile old man.
Oh my God.
The next 5 minutes, this is his punishment. Dad jokes.
He's always kind of thinking that his puns are in vogue. He cracks himself up like an egg with a yolk. And now Chris's morale is broke. Dad jokes.
I would love nothing more than for Pete to get all three of these right and retire the segment. That's the deal.
If he gets all three of these right, the segment will be retired. I will say that.
Wow. Big stakes.
Number 3, what do you give to a sick pig?
Oh, man.
Ointment.
Yes,
okay.
ointment.
All right.
Well, all right. So
Not
as
bad.
a group, we got that one right. No, you could say it's bad.
No,
you don't
Pete
have to say
had to
not
get
bad.
all 3, so Yeti already ruined it.
All right.
Okay.
Are these your jokes or are these coming out of a book or
Oh
something?
no, these are 1,000%. He just Googles dad jokes and then picks
No,
them.
no.
And
that's
sometimes
not-
he repeats them because someone gave him a calendar and he forgot he already did one on Google.
That's
So
not
much
entirely
like
true.
some of your other writing, you just copy and paste into a document.
Look, if I'm guilty of plagiarism, it's self-plagiarism. Let's just get that straight. Number 2, what do you call an alligator wearing a vest? Dead air.
Go ahead.
An investigator.
All right, what?
Damn it. It's a gator in a vest. He's an investigator.
Oh, okay. That one's pretty good. I won't even
Thank
lie.
you.
Damn it.
That's pretty
Number
good.
1. Number 1, how do you handle a fear of elevators?
I'll never understand how that's number 1.
Take the stairs.
It's clearly number 3. It's the third one you've said.
We go 3, 2, 1. We build up the suspense.
So is this
How do
the
you
best
handle
one?
a fear of elevators?
I
Go
don't
ahead,
know.
Dad.
I'm fully stumped.
You take the stairs.
You take steps to avoid them.
Ah,
All right.
partial credit, Greg.
Sorry for putting you through that.
Herb top 20 countdown.
We're making him sit for herb. Oh my God.
Yes.
The Greg Cote Show with Greg Cote presents Greg Cote's Top 20 Herbs. Here's Greg Cote with your Herb of the Week.
Pete, this is Greg Cote's Herb of the Week.
Oh, excellent.
Top 20 herb countdown. Go for it, Greg.
Okay, first of all, we do a quick review. Number 20, Acmella oleracea, the toothache plant. Number 19, Hall of Fame cornerback Herb Adderley. Number 18, non-irradiated bay leaves. Number 17, 30th U.S. President Herb Hoover. Number 16, 1960s movie about a VW race car, Herb the Love Bug. Number 15, 1960s jazz pianist and composer Herb Hancock. Number 14, Aaron Rodgers' favorite hallucinogen, ayahuasca. Number 13, 60s and 70s TV actor Herb Edelman. Number 12, the king of herbs, basil. Number 11, the Miracle Man, 1980 U.S. hockey coach Herb Brooks. Number 10, the herb symbolizing long-lasting love, rosemary. Number 9, Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Justin Herb.
Really
Number
high
8,
for Herbert.
the herb salsa dip cannot live without cilantro. Number 7, world's most expensive herb, saffron. And now,
Do you have a favorite of those herbs, of the ones that we've done so far, Pete?
Herb Brooks.
Yeah.
If that wasn't
Of
on the
course.
list, I was going to be gone.
number 6, this is in homage to the Stanley Cup Final. And in honor of our guest today, White Hat. Number 6, he leads all herbs in NHL career goals with 206. Won a Stanley Cup, unlike Connor McDavid, and remains the only player to ever lead the league in scoring for a season and not make the Hall of Fame. Do you know the answer, Pete?
I do not.
Herb Cain.
Oh, okay.
C-A-I-N. You could look it up.
I don't know why. You just saying Kane right there reminded me of that play that Forsling made last night where he's like sliding on the ice and he finally
my God.
got his stick on it. First good play Forsling's made in the whole series. That guy has been.
Oh, last night he was great.
He was great last night. He
Yeah.
was great last night, but it's just I haven't
Bad
recognized
playoffs
him.
to this
in
point.
Yeah, they needed him. He's another guy like Kachuk, who's not the player he was a year ago.
All right. Good
Anyway.
parade. Good parade. Wrap it up, Dad.
All right, we're wrapping it up. Thank you, Pete Blackburn. Great name. Not as good as his nickname, White Hat, but it's the What Chaos podcast, which we've never listened to before.
I've listened to it. That you don't know hockey. If you know hockey, you've listened to What Chaos.
No, I'm just kidding. Of course I have, probably.
Of course. Yeah, well, at least one segment.
Exactly. and that kind of thing and so forth. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, podcast listeners. Appreciate you every week. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Pete.
This was a surprising pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No, it was awesome, man. Thanks for playing along. That was fun.
Here's a left-handed compliment. A surprising pleasure. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
See you later.